David, you expressed to me in there about, you were more concerned more or less with the outer battery container than you were the casket, correct? Okay, what was the questions that you had as far as caskets? Let me tell you, first of all, the caskets come in steel. They start at 20 gauge, is the lower steel. It's a thin steel. It goes to an 18 gauge, 16 gauge, stainless steel, coppers and bronze. And each, as you go a step up, the metal gets thicker until you get to the coppers and bronze. And you got 48 ounce bronze, 38 ounce bronze, the same thing in coppers. And of course, the price goes up as you can go up. The outer barrier containers, as you can see, we have aluminum and we have 12 gauge steel. But you was expressing to me more or less along the lines of 20 gauge casket. Now, our 20 gauge caskets, our lower end caskets, we have ones that seal and ones that don't seal.
Okay.
But you was expressing more of the concern about the outer barrier container.
Right.
So, what questions do you have about that? And I can explain to you how the casket works. I mean, how the vault, system works. If that's what you're interested in.
Well, okay. So would it, if I got a casket, it depending on what it is, it would seal or not seal. It could be either way.
Correct.
Okay. And if it's like the different gauges, can you get different interior in each one, or are they usually?
Usually they're pretty set forward in your lower end caskets, which is your 18 gauge, and your 20 gauge caskets. The interior is usually pretty much set for that casket. Like here, this is 16 gauge. This casket here is made with this interior, and I don't think you can, change the interior out on this casket. They're pretty much set. But like I said, your 20 gauges, 20 gauges have stationary hardware. Some have,
So
stationary or swing handle. So,
okay. Okay.
like I said, this is 16 gauge.
Okay.
If you're more concerned about the burial vault, I usually try to encourage families to if they're in trying to save money, perhaps to get a lower end casket and express more along in the vault.
Okay.
The vault works as you take a mason jar and fill your sink up with water and tip the mason jar up. It only allows water to go certain distance up in the bottom. That's the way the vaults work. The vaults are made for, as you see the bevel in the dome, condensation gets up in there. And what it is, the way that the vault is designed, the condensation gets up and it rolls off of the casket. Away from the casket, so it's just not. As concrete is porous, and porous absorbs moisture. We don't have concrete vaults here in our display room because obviously they're too bulky and too heavy to bring in here. We don't sell concrete vaults a lot of times. Our families go towards what we have here is a 12 gauge called the Basin Ring for $12.95, which is it's only $300 more than a regular concrete line vault. And
the concrete line vault is the one that you see in the cemetery where the casket actually goes into it, and then you put a lid on it.
Right, you've got line concrete and you have regular concrete. Regular concrete don't have no liner, it's just a regular concrete box.
Okay.
Vault. The line one has a fiberglass liner, and of course you can go on up in your vaults too from stainless steel liner inside the vault, copper line, and but at the end of the day, the shell of it's concrete and it's going to bring in moisture.
So this, you would put the casket down, and this would actually go on top of it.
This has a base right here. These have been latches on the bottom side of this base here. The latches are flipped out. The base is lowered down into the ground of the vault. This stays out. Okay. When we get ready to close the grave, the casket is lowered down. There's two little bars across there the casket sits on. We get the straps out. We take our straps and we lower them here. We have our men lower that down until it latches, and we pull on it to make sure that it's latched and secured. They told us, the manufacturer told us that 35 years before that casket there would even start to see any kind of breakdown. But that's what if you was leaning on the line to more of your the steel vault. And
Okay.
that's entirely up to you, you can take your time, look around, and then, just let me know and I'll step out. And if you have any more
So-
questions, just come.
It would be, I mean, that would be good for any type of casket.
Exactly.
Okay.
We have a lot of families that do that because it's select wood caskets.
Mm-hmm.
Wood casket, you don't seal.
Okay.
I mean, they do make a wood casket that seals, it has a liner in it that does seal, but we don't carry one. Matter of fact, I've never seen one in my life. But we have families that buy wood caskets, expensive wood caskets, and, you know.
And this would protect them
Correct.
also,
Mhm.
since they don't seal.
Right.
Seal. Okay. All right. Well, I think that answers my questions.
All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
5 minutes.